Just a real quick update on the Enterprise D. I went through a lot of stuff trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to paint it. So I ended up creating a kind of a blue-green color, or gray-green, and I painted it with that entire color and washed it with the new in oil, black. And then I started to layer it up again with the blue-green, and I just didn't like it. So I checked out my local gaming store to figure out what kind of colors they had available, and I ended up with this color, which I think is absolutely perfect, which is a Vallejo model color medium sea gray. It's medium gray. It just has an absolute hint of blue in it, and I think it's absolutely perfect for the Enterprise D, and it's coming along quite nicely. The hardest part right so far has been the top of the secondary hull here, then the deflector shield grid, because the sections aren't really well defined, so it's been really hard to paint them. So I went in with a micron pen to redefine the lines after I painted it all. The upper hull is done, lower hull is done, or the upper hull is, bottom is done. And all these little things here, they're not really windows. I think they're supposed to be the lifeboats, or maybe it's a combination of both, but so trying to get these back to the pale yellow they were before is going to be a little difficult. And I also masked off the deflector dish because there's no way I was going to be able to replicate that, the middle of that any decently, so I'll just redo the edges of the blue, and that'll be good for the deflector dish. But overall, it's coming along quite nicely. I don't think I'm going to be doing any airbrushing on the edges. It's just too small to really be effective on that. So again, just been a really quick update on the progress of the Enterprise D. And mostly did the rim edge here. I'm probably doing black, kind of simulate, because this is where all the sensor pads are. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. They're not really supposed to be hull color around there. So I think black would look well. Would look very nice for the edges of the upper hull. So that's right. This thing has actually been quite a bit of work. Painting all these individual sections is quite tedious, and yet I think it's coming out just fantastic. So that's it for this quick update of Pimp My Enterprise D, and thanks for watching. Hey everybody, I went ahead and finished up the Enterprise, and I figured I'd just show off what I did. So I finished up the color using the medium sea gray from Vallejo model color. And you can see here on the shield lines, on the shield I went and did the micro pen there in the gaps. You can also see that I went through and painted all the lifeboats yellow on the top and on the bottom. Also did the rings here around on the front of the nacelles in yellow. I did the Bussard collectors and the impulse engines in Mephiston red with a highlight of Troll Slayer orange. I don't know if you'll see it or not. The engines came out pretty good. I mean, I did pretty much the best I did. It's not perfect, but it's really close. It's a Regal blue, and then I did a layer of ice blue, and then finally some white highlights to try and give like a slight glowing effect. I mean, they're not at warp when you're playing the game, so there's no reason to have a big effective glow. They're just on, but they're not really generating any subspace fields. So the navigational deflector I didn't really paint. I did do a highlight of ice blue around the eyesight edges and a highlight of Troll Slayer orange in the very center. And then at the very end I did a highlight of Fortress Gray around every single section. It really doesn't show up very well, but it's a very, very slight highlight just to give a little more depth to it all. And then all the phaser bars here are painted Adaptus Battle Gray, which is just German gray. So this bar right here, these two right here are phasers. Same with these two little ones back here, little phaser bars. So, but overall, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a vast improvement over what it was before. There's no doubt about that. And of course, and then as I said, I did the sensor platform all in black. So that is the pimped out Enterprise D. I said it is such a vast improvement over the stock model, but it was very time consuming going through and painting each one of these panels individually. I think going through and painting each one of these yellow dots individually. was kind of tedious, and if I ever do get another one of these, which I probably will eventually get a second Enterprise D, I'm not going to do this much work. It's just going to get washed and called good. So that finishes up the Pimping the Enterprise D. I might do some videos on the NIG VAR, but that would just be a wash, so I'm not sure if that's going to be very useful. But anyway, that is my pimped out Star Trek Attack Wing, U.S.S. Enterprise D. Thanks for watching.